think Mitch at this point needs any edge he can get in this competition, because the coaches know that when they get on the field, they don't really have to worry about whether or not Nick Foles knows how to operate the offense. It feels like that familiarity is so strong that they actually might have more confidence in Nick Foles than Mitch Trubisky, who's been here for a couple of years.
When you look at the offense, everybody has their eyes on the quarterback position, but defensively, this team can be better on defense. They've added some players as well. Fish, how good can they be on defense, and can they take it to another level?
Yeah, well, I think we always have to remember 2018 was about as good as you can ask for out of a defense. It's almost unfair to use that as the bar. But they dropped off too much last year in takeaways category and pass rush, and those things go hand in hand. So if you get that back up to kind of some happy medium, you're back to being a top 3 defense. And you bring in Robert Quinn, who's a massive upgrade at pass rush. That's going to help takeaways. Tashawn Gibson next to Eddie Jackson, maybe letting Eddie Jackson play more center field. You just have to get your pass rush and takeaways better. Those two things fell off way too much. If you can get Akeem Hicks to stay healthy this year, losing him really hurt the pass rush as well last season. And Jerry, you look at this roster, you look at this defense, you really have one question mark on the entire defense, and that's cornerback opposite Kyle Fuller. And if Jalen Johnson's as good as everyone I've talked to, I'm sure everyone you've talked to says he can be, and he's healthy, then maybe he answers that question. But personnel-wise, you really don't have any holes with this group.
On Friday, we'll have more Bears talk, as well as Mitchell Trubisky is going to talk to the media, so that will be interesting. And a lot of people waiting to hear what Mitch has to say. We have to go to break and come back, and we got What's Good coming up next. Don't go anywhere, and don't forget to follow us on social media, GN Sports TV on IG and Twitter. We'll be right back.
720 WGN.
Foot odor throwing you off your game? Stick to a winning game plan with Odor Eaters, featuring 3 advanced odor and wetness fighters. The lineup provides long-lasting odor control, plus more to keep your feet on their game. Odor Eaters powder provides outstanding moisture control. Clear drying spray is the MVP in preventing athlete's foot, while insoles work continuously to manage wetness while adding a layer of comfort. Pick up today at Walmart, Target, CVS, Dollar General, or other fine retailers. Odor Eaters, destroy foot odor with the best in odor defense.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 7750 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 7750. Enjoy.
Hey guys, don't mind me as I interrupt your radio program. It's Sue Cosner, sexual health expert on men's performance in the bedroom. Do me a favor and don't touch that dial. That's a mistake. If you've been listening to this radio station, you've probably heard a compelling radio ad for Noxitril, the potent all-natural male enhancement pill. Men constantly reach out and ask me, does this Noxitril really work? Or is it just another scam product? I can tell you there's nothing better than Noxitril. I recommend this super pill to men everywhere. It will transform your life in the bedroom once and for all. Strong, powerful results that increase your blood flow fast. No prescription, no side effects. Just imagine Viagra on steroids. So call Noxitril now and take advantage of an incredible free bottle offer, shipped discreetly to your door.
Call right now and get your free supply. Call 800-480-8329. That's 800-480-8329. It's like Viagra on steroids. Improve your sex life with your free supply. Call 800-480-8329. That's 1-800-480-8329.
Theo trying to conduct an interview here, but having a little trouble concentrating on the questions. Theo's youngest, making sure everybody knows he's in the building. At least you didn't pound on the piano back there in the back room. That would have been even worse, I think. All right, that'll do it for us tonight on GN Sports. For all of us here, thanks for watching. See you again tomorrow night. Big night ahead. Live golf tomorrow. We'll have that and a lot more. Thursday night, 10:45, GN Sports. Hope to see you then.
Serving the great Midwest from Chicago, this is 720 WGN. And on your smart device, just by saying play WGN Radio on TuneIn.
WGN Chicago.
A Nexstar Media Group station.
I'm Vic Vaughn in the WGN Radio Newsroom. The news is sponsored by WGN America. No official word yet on what caused an off-duty Chicago police officer's death. First, the WGN forecast. Here's meteorologist Demetrius Ivory.
Clouds will continue to break up late tonight. The low temperature down to 60 degrees and sunshine comes our way Thursday. The high temperature right around 80. Friday, more sun. We're into the upper 70s there. We do cool down significantly for Saturday. It's only going to be in the mid to upper 60s, cooler by the lake. Mostly sunny skies though. And on Sunday, we'll see partly cloudy conditions. We warm up a little bit with highs climbing into the mid to upper 70s. I'm WGN meteorologist Demetrius Ivory.
An autopsy on the body of a Chicago police officer was inconclusive. A woman found with him late Tuesday remains in critical condition, believed to be his wife. WGN's Tanya Francisco reporting from the city's Albany Park neighborhood.
Family members of Officer Zhu Ming asked for privacy as they gathered some of the family's things, including the son's car seat and other items from the townhome in the 3900 block of West Ainsley. Tuesday evening, Meng, who was off duty, and his wife were found in that townhome, unconscious, suffering from carbon monoxide poisoning. A neighbor says she heard the alarm going off for hours.
Around noon, 1 o'clock, I started hearing the beeping sounds.
A source tells WGN a car in the attached garage was found on but out of gas, and carbon monoxide levels were 140 parts per million, well into the lethal range. The Townhome Association president says neighbors were alerted to the situation later in the evening when Meng's fellow officers arrived to do a well-being check.
The father needed to pick up the child in the afternoon, and the police told me that he'd been 2+ hours late to come pick his son up.
The couple was found unresponsive on the 3rd floor and rushed to Swedish Hospital where Meng died. Police saluted as his body was put into an ambulance and taken to the Cook County Medical Examiner's office.
We think it was carbon monoxide poisoning. The details are still evolving.
He's married. He has a 3-year-old son. They're very nice couple.
Ming had been with the department for just under 2 years. He worked out of the 24th District in Rogers Park. Detectives are investigating. A teacher in the northwest suburbs is under investigation over accusations of a racist social media post. WGN's Gaynor Hall reports.
Some students say they're outraged over a Facebook post from a social studies teacher at Palatine High School. It says in part, "I find the term white privilege as racist as the N-word. You have not walked in my shoes, so do not make assumptions about me and my so-called privilege. You think America is racist? Then you have been hoodwinked by the white liberal establishment and race baiters like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton."
Reaction to that social media post from Palatine High alumna Aaliyah Holloway.
That is in no relation the same as saying the N-word, and that just shocked me that she said that, because it's not the same.
In a statement, District 211 says, in part, they opened an investigation after learning about the post, and that once it's complete, it'll follow up with appropriate measures. Went on to apologize for any hurt caused by that social media post. Says the comments by the teacher do not reflect the values or principles of the district. Illinois health officials have updated the latest statewide COVID-19 numbers. They report 78 more deaths during the most recent 24-hour period and 625 new infections. That's the smallest increase in new COVID-19 cases since late March. Conflicting results in the cause of death of an infant in Chicago have now been confirmed. The medical examiner's office now said COVID-19 did play a role. The latest autopsy on the 9-month-old's body was performed at the Centers for Disease Control. Shows death resulted from viral pneumonia caused by coronavirus NL63 and COVID-19. Both viruses were present in swab testing. The boy died March 23rd at Mercy Hospital. Family members brought him there unresponsive. They told medical staff he'd been suffering from a cold and cough. Governor Pritzker has announced a $270 million grant program for child care providers in Illinois. The state previously awarded one-time stipends to sitters caring for the children of frontline workers. The governor says the new program makes Illinois the first in the nation to help restore child care through the pandemic.
And here's the best part. Because there's no blueprint for this kind of program, we're asking providers to tell us how to design the approach that best helps them reopen safely with smaller group sizes without imposing large tuition increases on families.
To get in the program, visit the Illinois Network of Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies website at INCC. RRA.org. WGN Sports. NASCAR has banned the Confederate flag from its races and properties. This after calls to do so from Bubba Wallace, its only black driver. Lawyers representing the former marketing agent for NBA rookie and former Duke All-American Zion Williamson are continuing their legal push to examine whether Williamson accepted improper benefits before playing for the Blue Devils. In a new court filing, Prime Sports Ford attorneys argue that Williamson didn't meet the definition of a student athlete at the time because he was, quote, permanently ineligible to play college sports. That argument about his eligibility is at the center of the legal fight over his endorsement potential. Williamson was the #1 NBA draft pick last summer. He's suing Prime Sports, accusing it of violating North Carolina's sports agent law. 6 women have filed civil lawsuits against USA Swimming, its local associations in California, and 3 now banned coaches. The suit claims USA Swimming failed to protect them from abuse by coaches and that its former executive director and other top officials were aware of what they call predatory behavior by coaches but refused to address it. I'm Vic Vaughn on Chicago's very own 720 WGN.
Attention business owners. With the coronavirus and so many other contaminants polluting our air, the challenges of staying healthy and productive can feel overwhelming. Millhouse Engineering and Construction solves problems that improve communities everywhere. They use a special fog sanitization to effectively sanitize against the coronavirus. Maximize the productivity of your staff with peace of mind. You'll know you've taken precautions to provide a healthy work environment. Millhouse's sanitization fogging is the same process recently adopted by the major airlines. It filters the air with a 3-stage HEPA filtration system and uses a hospital-grade EPA-registered solution for fogging. Unlike other processes, their solution doesn't use bleach or leave a toxic residue. Their sanitizing fog combats contaminants in the air and on hard, soft, and porous surfaces. To sanitize the air against coronavirus and other contaminants in your office, call Millhouse Engineering right now for a consultation at 855-621-0001. That's 855-621-0001 or millhouseinc.com.
Beginning in 1930, it's the world's longest running Christian outreach radio program, and it's right here on WGN, the Lutheran Hour, Sunday morning at 6.
Stories above beautiful downtown Chicago, and we're here till 4 o'clock. I'm your overnight dude, 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. every weekday night into the morning. And it'll be Thursday, which means it'll be time for our bi-weekly visit with Dan Feinberg, TV critic from The Hollywood Reporter. Always a lot of TV to talk about with Dan. Always great to have him on. We're also going to talk with Chris Bowden and Joe Brand, who are the hosts of Blackhawks crazy podcast about when the NHL or if the NHL is going to come back and their thoughts on what's going on with the new proposal about when the NHL returns. And we're all missing hockey. I can tell you that. I'm totally missing it. But yeah, we'll talk with Chris and Joe about that. We're going to talk about some of your favorite backyard games because we got a story here about great backyard games, and we're going to talk about that. What games did you play in your backyard? Do you ever make them up with your friends and family? And there's a really crazy story about these feral chickens who are returning to plague a New Zealand town. So we're going to talk about that. And if you've ever had a run-in or an experience with an animal of some kind, I think everybody has a story, at least one story where they were encountered by some weird animal or had some weird things happen with an animal. But feral chickens, that sounds terrifying. It really does. It sounds really scary. So, and like New Zealand, they've already got crazy stuff going on in New Zealand. There's animals activity all over the place in New Zealand. So anyway, we'll talk about that and more. And coming up in just a couple of minutes, Britt Julius is with us. She is a music critic, and she's been writing about music and nightlife for the Chicago Tribune. And as we all know, that Lollapalooza has been canceled, and she wrote a piece about it for the Chicago Tribune. And it's an interesting take that she has on it, about how Lollapalooza can change. So we're going to talk about that and a little bit more, and get to know Britt a little bit, and talk about what she's written about in the past. And all of that good stuff. Our phone number is 312-981-7200. If you want to check us out, we have podcasts available. Every single second of this show is podcast, and you can go to WGNradio.com. And you can go, obviously, anywhere, iTunes, anywhere you get podcasts, you can subscribe. It's free. And you can listen at your leisure, bro, to our podcast. So 312-981-7200 is the phone number. My producer is Tom Hush. Hi, Tom.
Hey, how's it going, Nick?
I'm all right. Do you have a weird encounter with an animal that we'll talk about later?
Well, I did live abroad for a couple of years in Singapore.
Well, that'll do it.
Yeah. Which beautiful wildlife, beautiful place. As many people know, no gum on the streets because you can't chew gum.
You can't chew gum?
Yeah, it's illegal to chew gum.
What?
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard that before.
You never heard that?
No.
Yeah, you can't chew gum.
It's illegal to chew gum in Singapore.
Yes, it is.
Why?
Think of it this way. It's a beautiful island paradise, about a mile off the equator. Lush. The city, it's a city-state, a city nation, and that is just right in the middle of essentially paradise. It's like the Garden of Eden over there. It's really just, you see crazy animals just flying around naturally. They take very big pride in their conservation of the natural environment.
Yeah.
And they don't want it ruined by gum. They don't want, some rare macaw choking on some Wrigley Juicy Fruit. You can't have it. They won't have it.
Okay.
So
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, no, you cannot chew gum. But
is the idea that if you where you're going to put the gum after you finish chewing it?
Precisely. Because people, think about it. When you were in school or something, kids just sticking gum underneath the desk.
Oh, yeah.
Here, people just spit it out in the street. They'll maybe be nice, put a little piece of paper, but it's, litter. They just won't. They hate litter. So it's illegal to chew gum.
That's the weirdest. That's one of the weirdest things I've ever heard. I did not know that. So while you were living in Singapore, you weren't able to chew gum.
I was not able to chew gum. It was like a treat because you could go across a bridge to Malaysia because it's right off the Malaysian peninsula. You can take the bridge over to Kuala Lumpur, and they have gum there.
Okay.
And it was like a big deal.
So they don't care about the environment there.
Not particularly. They have a lack of trees, or at least this is going on almost 20 years ago that I lived there. But there was they had a problem with no trees.
So as a kid, because you were just a kid.
Yeah, about 6 or 7 years old. 6, 7 years old.
Boy, oh boy. But did you guys make the trip? Because you're 6 years old, you want to chew gum, don't you?
I didn't really think about it. I wasn't chewing a ton of gum to begin with. But I don't know. It was brought up because they had gum in Kuala Lumpur. And you could chew gum.
Yeah.
And I got my hands on, some gum or something. I was like, this is great. We got to bring this back with us. We have to let people know.
You can't bring it back.
Not a chance. They're just like, no, I can't bring gum back.
Would they arrest people if they were in possession of gum?
They're pretty strict over there, so I wouldn't be surprised if you got arrested and then fined, or at least you got lashings. You still got lashings back then, the bamboo lashings.
That's true.
Because I remember there's a story not too long ago, a kid from the States got in trouble in Singapore and he got the bamboo rod.
Yeah.
And it was I think they give it to your feet.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, they hit you on the feet. So they still have what would be considered corporal punishment. So, but yeah, so gum was a non-starter. I wasn't about to get rotted by bamboos. Just
to chew some gum.
Yeah,
Okay.
I figured
I've
whatever.
just never heard that before. But they have weird animals over there, right? So
yeah.
you have a few stories of encounters with animals?
I got a few. You ever heard of a tapir?
No.
It's like a large pig.
Okay.
It's kind of like a big pig where the snout is a little bit longer, not quite elephant length, but it's got a bit of a snout.
Yeah.
I had one of those running upside a tour I was on.
Okay. Well, we'll tell those stories later. So we'll have some crazy stories about that. And we've got feral chickens running around in New Zealand. So there you go. All right, listen, we're going to break. And when we come back, Britt Julius is going to be here. She writes about music and nightlife for the Chicago Tribune. And as you know, Lollapalooza has been canceled, and she wrote an article about it with a very interesting stance on it. 312-981-7200 is the phone number. It's Nick Digilio on WGN. Early morning, stay safe and stay connected with Morgan Kochmeyer's weather forecasts and Sarah Ginger's traffic reports. That's weekdays 4 to 6 on WGN TV Morning News.
Here's some great news. Jameson's Char House, Chicagoland's premier steakhouse, is open for business. Call them directly to place a carry-out order or order online through Uber, DoorDash, or Grubhub. Jameson's Char House is also providing meals to local healthcare workers and first responders. Call for details about that and to purchase gift cards. For hours and menu items, visit their Facebook and social pages or just go to jamesons-charhouse.com. That's jamesons-charhouse.com.
Though we're apart these days, we're sharing more. So at Geico, we'd like to say thanks. Thanks for sharing your savage dance moves. Thanks for sharing your DIY haircut fails. Thanks for sharing your inner lip sync star. Now it's our turn to share with the Geico Give Back, a 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies for current and new customers. Because we're committed for the long haul, the 15% credit lasts your full policy term. Visit geico.com/giveback for more info and eligibility.
Non-attorney paid spokesperson. Could your house go into foreclosure? Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Does it seem like the bank has no interest in helping you save your home, and you feel like you have nowhere to turn for help? Then we have good news for you. Foreclosure Protection Services can help save your home as they specialize in foreclosure assistance. That's all they do. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, being threatened with foreclosure, have been denied a loan modification, or been the victim of a predatory loan, it's critical that you call Foreclosure Protection Services now at 800-630-1133. Their network of attorneys and their agents are available to speak to you now. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, Foreclosure Protection Services can help stop the foreclosure process. Call today before it's too late. New laws are in effect that may save your home. Call Foreclosure Protection Services now at 800-630-1133. 800-630-1133. That's 800-630-1133.
Nick Digilio here on 720 WGN, live in the Skyline studio here, 18 stories above beautiful downtown Chicago. And it will be a Thursday morning here very soon. So my guest right now is Britt Julius. She writes about music and nightlife for the Chicago Tribune. And she is a champion of the underdog and the underground, and was the recipient of the 2019 Studs Terkel Award for journalism. That's really cool. Anyway, Lollapalooza, as you probably know already, has been canceled for 2020. And Britt wrote an interesting piece on it with an interesting take on the whole situation. Let's say hello to Britt. Hello, Britt.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Let's get your background. Where are you from and how long you've been writing for the Trib and all that?
So I'm from Chicago. Born and raised here, West Side. I've been writing for the Tribune. I guess almost like 5.5 years now, probably a little bit over that.
Mhm.
So, and usually focusing on local music, so profiling different local artists or like kind of major events that are happening that are kind of produced by local event creators and things like that. Recently, I've kind of expanded that coverage, kind of talking, about music on a kind of larger or like national scale, and not just sort of doing profiles of people, but kind of looking at the local music community from a more critical standpoint.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, before we get to Lollapalooza, since you cover, the local music scene and things like that, are you getting any feedback from bands, local bands, and local venues that are affected by what's happening right now?
Do you mean like in terms of COVID or in terms of, the protests and things like that?
Well, I think it's a combination of the two. It's just that I think more COVID because everything is closed and bands aren't playing gigs. There's a lot.
Right.
So what's the feedback been?
So I did do a couple of stories earlier this year about the effects that COVID has been having, specifically, as it relates to a lot of local music venues, local independent music venues in particular.
Yeah.
And it's been really dire, compared to the restaurant industry or small businesses, which can, really translate, their businesses to the internet. You can't really transfer a concert to, online. Like you can certainly like stream live music. You can certainly have someone perform and have it, available on like Zoom or Facebook Live or something like that. But the concert experience is really specific and really particular, and so that's made it like really challenging for these venues, just on a kind of creative level, but on a realistic level as well. These large indoor venues, they really can't open and operate like they normally would until phase 5, potentially like phase 4, if it was sort of outside. And so that, makes it such that, concert halls, performance venues, things like that, they're probably going to be the last places that can really open.
Yeah.
And, if we sort of look at the timeline for, when things began to shut down as well, those venues were some of the first venues to actually, kind of shut themselves down, right? Thinking of places like the Hideout, which, officially closed its doors, in probably like 5 or 6 days before the official shelter-in-place order went into place.
Yeah.
So, it's really, really, really hard. And, there are organizations like Civil, which is the Chicago Independent Venue League. They have partnered with a national organization called NEVA, which is the National Independent Venue Association, and they've been lobbying Congress to, kind of get additional funding and support because they will be the last places that can officially open, and also because they are facing a lot of really specific frustrations, you can say, and specific difficulties that relate to, being independent music venues. For example, like they have to pay fines, for liquor licenses and things like that, but then they can't open, until January, February, when there's a vaccine. And so, is it fair to say you have to pay, for a license or whatever now, even though you're not like legally able to open?
Yeah. Well, it's such a complicated issue, and I feel bad for a lot of small businesses right now that are taking a hit. But really, seriously, the music venues and the small bars that host music, it's just devastating, and I really hope that some of the great venues don't close. I mean, we have as you know, Britt, you cover the nightlife and music scene here in Chicago. We have an unbelievable amount of amazing music venues / bars. In this city, and it would be a shame if any of them had to close.
Absolutely. It would be a complete in my opinion, it would be a really complete cultural loss. And Chicago is such an important city for live music, for the birth of numerous, music genres. It's important, just stop for artists along the way as they kind of travel across the country. Making a stop in Chicago is really key for developing their fan bases. And so, if they don't have all of those, small venues to really kind of build their fan base, like where are they left, to as well. So.
Well, Joe Shanahan, who obviously runs the Metro, posted a thing online where it's not a GoFundMe page, but it's something where they're trying to raise money as a benefit to help out these venues. I mean, the Metro is a legendary place,
right?
And if we lose that place, I mean, that's just going to be devastating. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I talked to Joe for an article that we did, and he is on the phone like every day, like lobbying, trying to get the attention of different people, state representatives, things like that. So he is actively working to make sure that these independent venues are not being ignored in this particular time of need.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Joe's a great guy. I've had him on the show plenty of times, and I love the Metro. It's one of my favorite places to see a show, and Joe couldn't be cooler. He really couldn't, and I really hope that all of this stuff doesn't really kill the Metro. It's just such a classic place. I'm old enough. My problem is I keep calling it Cabaret Metro, and that dates me. That dates me because it's like everybody knows my age when I refer to the Metro. I always say Cabaret Metro, and it always cracks up Joe. Like whenever I say, Joe, I'm excited to be at the Cabaret Metro, he's like, yeah, how old are you? Well, do you like covering the music scene and nightlife? I mean, obviously nothing's really happening now, and you have to cover certain things that are happening, in the safety of your own home and all that stuff. But the music scene here in Chicago is just so awesome. It must be really cool to cover it.
Yeah, there are so many. I think the thing that's really interesting and really cool about Chicago is that there is always so much going on, and there's so many just kind of pocket communities and kind of pocket just movements that are happening within the music scene. And oftentimes, the people who are in those particular scenes don't even really know what else is going on in the city. So for me as a reporter, it's really fun. And I've oftentimes told people, I'm like, this thing you're doing reminds me of something that, these people are doing in Logan Square. And they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, they're just really kind of dedicated and focused to what they're doing and what they're creating, even if it's like a, small group of maybe only 10 or 20 people who are kind of participating in their music scene. So I absolutely love covering it, and it changes, from week to week, month to month, and so on.
Yeah, and so many great venues. Do you have a favorite? Venue? I know it's hard to choose because there's so many great ones, but do you have a couple of favorites that you love to go to?
Yeah, I mean, for dancing, I always love Smart Bar, and so that's why I, love Metro Smart Bar. I love going to see small shows at the Empty Bottle. I used to live over there, and so I would, go to shows all the time, go to the free shows on Mondays and things like that. Just have a lot of really wonderful memories about, being there. I love hearing a lot of sort of experimental jazz and improvisational music at Constellation. So I would say those three are probably my current, just all-time favorites are Smart Bar and Empty Bottle. And then I really love going to Constellation for more of those kind of young improvisational jazz shows.
Yeah, Metro and Smart Bar, just legendary place. Yeah, it's just great. Two of my favorite places to see shows, and it's because the acoustics are so amazing. Lincoln Hall, I think, is one of the best places to see a concert. I mean, when they built that place, they did it right. You know what I mean? That venue is perfect, and the sound is amazing in that place. And then,
absolutely.
And the same people run it, but Shuba's is a legendary place and a place that I love to see shows. And I can't wait till these places reopen. It's just it's a shame. Hey, let me ask you real quickly about this Studs Terkel Award. Was it for something specific that you won it?
So it was basically for kind of encompassing my entire body of work as a journalist over the years. So so it wasn't like a specific piece. It was more sort of recognizing the type of work that I've done over the last, 8 years or so as a journalist. So.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What does the award look like? Do you have a physical award?
I do. It's more kind of like a plaque than like an award.
Sure.
It has a picture of studs on it and and my name. It's great. I mean, it was it's on my. I finally hung it up on my wall in my office after having it for 6-8 months.
Yeah.
So. I kind of every day I was like, I got to figure out a place to put that. And then I was on a Zoom call and someone was like, Billy, you have one thing on that wall back there. I was like, I should put some more up there. So I finally hung the award up on the wall. So yeah.
That's pretty funny. That is pretty funny. Yeah. Okay, Britt. And again, congratulations on that. That's really neat. So
thank you.
Okay, Britt, hold on. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Britt Julius is with us. She writes about music and nightlife for the Chicago Tribune. And Lollapalooza's been canceled, and she wrote a really interesting piece with a really interesting take on that. And you can check it out at chicagotribune.com. We're going to talk more with Britt right after this on 720 WGN.
Cleaning up around the house lately? Wondering if that old autograph is worth money? Is your sports memorabilia trash or treasure? Call in and ask our expert after the 7:30 a.m. news. Quarantainment in the morning.
Bob's the Rock, Radio Chicago, WGN.
We're committed to protecting the health and safety of your family as we take care of your plumbing, AC, and electrical needs. As always, ABC is here for you. We realize how important it is to keep your home cool and running smoothly. So rest assured, your family will stay comfortable with an ultimate AC tune-up for just $89. Just $89 for peace of mind. Schedule at 4abc.com. That's the number 4abc.com. Consider it cool. Consider it safe. Consider it done.
They're men of few words.
Now get out of here.
And a lot of laughs.
Eat your heart out, Blondie.
Believe me, you don't have to get laughs all the time. Check their classic comedy on Antenna TV on WGN 9.2 and Comcast 353, or check your cable listing.
Coming September 1st to WGN America. News Nation, originating from Chicago, live every night in primetime. Your news, your nation. Only on WGN America.
The Chicago White Sox and St. Xavier University want to give our sincerest gratitude to our nurses working around the clock to keep our community healthy. Recently ranked 4th by U.S. News & World Report's 2020 Best Online Graduate Nursing Programs, St. Xavier is proud to have graduated over 7,300 nurses in its 85 years of nursing education. Thank you for all that you do. You are the true everyday hero.
Our world has changed. When you leave home, face coverings are the new normal, but the kind you use really matters, and not all offer the same protection. Boomer Naturals has a covering with 3 layers of ultra-soft, breathable cloth infused with nano-silver technology, available in adult and children sizes. And Boomer Naturals cloth is made for use up to 30 days when hand washed between uses. Order now at boomernaturals.com, use code BOB20 at checkout, and save 20%. Free shipping on any orders over $50. Your basement is already dry most of the time, but if you want your basement dry all of the time, you know who to call. Permaseal at 800-421-SEAL or permaseal.net.
We get it almost every night. And when that moon gets so big and bright, it's a supernatural delight. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight.
Hello, Nick Digilio here on 720 WGN. And we are live in the Skyline studio. And we'll be here till 4 a.m. as we are every weekday morning. Dan Feinberg, our TV critic from The Hollywood Reporter, who joins us every couple of weeks, is going to be with us after midnight, and we're going to talk TV. Lots of TV to talk about with Dan. And our good buddies Chris Bowden and Joe Brand from the Blackhawks Crazy podcast right here at WGN Radio. We're going to talk about the possible return of the NHL and some Blackhawks stories as well. So 312-981-7200 is the phone number if anytime you want to join us. So my guest is Britt Julius. She writes about music and nightlife for the Chicago Tribune. And she just wrote a piece about Lollapalooza being canceled. And Britt, really interesting take on this. Lollapalooza, when it first started, it wasn't just one, festival that was 4 days long. It was a traveling festival, that went to venues, across the nation. And I went to a few of those Lollapaloozas, but then it became like this massive fest located right here in Chicago that was 4 days long. And it's just, how did it get to that point? What do you think?
I think that one of the reasons why Lollapalooza became this huge 4-day fest is because, there's been a general rise of music festivals across the country and across the globe. And so, a lot of music writers and critics have been wondering, when is the music festival bubble going to burst? And
yeah.
It kind of burst, because of COVID-19. And so, as music, it became more kind of competitive for music festivals across the country to compete for dollars, because, everyone can't pay $300 multiple times for festivals. I think that, Lollapalooza had to get bigger and bigger. And, that also, too, though, meant that maybe the spirit or the uniqueness of what it used to have also, changed as well.
Yeah. How do you feel about music festivals in general? Because there are so many. Do you think there are too many?
Oh, yeah. There's absolutely way, way, way too many. And I've been saying this probably for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's not just that there's too many. It's that there are too many, and so many of them are exactly the same. If there were, 1,000 different, large scale music festivals, but each one was a little bit different, or a lot bit different than the other one, I would, love it. And I would think that that's amazing, and just a true show of people's love of music. But for so many of these festivals, they have the same artists, the kind of same structure. They have the VIP sections, and it's sort of like, why is this special or unique when, I could go to Firefly in Delaware. I could go to Governor's Island in, New York for the Governor's Ball. I could go to, Tennessee for Bonnaroo, and so much of these feel exactly the same.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And over the years, I'm not a Brit. I'm not good at festivals. I'm just not. I'm not cut out for it.
Right.
Standing outside in the hot summer amongst a bunch of people paying $12 for a beer. It just, I don't know. And you're right. The artists are all basically the same. Is there a fest that you actually, that the fests, do you like Pitchfork?
I love Pitchfork. I've always loved Pitchfork, even when it was Intonation Music Festival before it was officially Pitchfork Music Festival.
Yeah.
And I think that, Pitchfork is, a large part of the programming, or maybe all of the programming. I'd have to double check on this nowadays. Is done by Mike Reed from Chicago. And, so he always, chooses some kind of unique off-kilter choices, right? You're not going to go to Coachella and hear a set from Chaka Khan, right? Or, you're not going to get, Brian Wilson. There's always some unique surprises at Pitchfork, and that's why I've always kind of enjoyed it. And you get the lineup and you're like, really? And then you go and you're like, wow, I'm really glad I had that experience, because I don't think I would have gotten it any other way.
Yeah,
that's probably one of my favorite local ones.
Yeah, no, when I always look at the lineup for Pitchfork, I always think, well, that's fun. That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
And now my producer Tom's got tickets for Riot Fest. Now that has not been canceled yet, and hopefully, we'll see what happens. How do you feel about Riot Fest?
I love Riot Fest. And that, again, Riot Fest, they do things a little bit differently, right? They'll get, a band to play one specific album, or they'll bring back, bands that haven't really performed in years, so it's unique, it's different. It's really, what makes it special is that it becomes a kind of a destination experience, and not just the same old that you can kind of get anywhere else.
Yeah. So, and again, we could keep talking about Music Fest for 9 hours because there are so many of them. But specifically, you wrote a piece about Lollapalooza, which has been canceled. But you wrote a piece from an interesting point of view about how, since it's canceled, maybe they can change it and become something better. So what do you think is wrong with the way Lollapalooza has been running?
So, I think, and we kind of touched on it a little bit before, and that it was no longer sort of feeling unique. And I think part of that had to do with, when it expanded to 4 days instead of 3 days, the lineup, in my opinion at least, started to feel less special. If you're thinking of, you have to kind of figure out 4 days worth of artists, maybe you no longer have like the means or the budget to get like some huge, unique headlining artist, right? So I think that it began to feel less special and less unique. The festival was extremely long. They expanded to 4 days when they were having their anniversary, and that made sense, right? It was like, okay, this is cool. Like, this is, something special for this year, but then it just continued for every year after that.
Yeah.
And, it no longer seemed like, there was a real purpose for it, because most people, they can't go to a music festival on a Thursday afternoon or a Thursday night, you know?
Yeah.
And so it really also kind of, limits the audience that can actually kind of go and participate in the festival as well. And I think also just, I think that Lollapalooza is kind of unlike most other music festivals in that it's on Chicago's, lake shore. So you have those beautiful views of the city.
Yeah.
And if you're in the right spot, which I always tell people, like, they get really hot there. I'm like, you just got to go to like kind of this part of the park where you're getting like the nice breeze from the lake, and it feels like 20 degrees cooler, but
Grant Park is one of the most beautiful places in the world. There's just, it really is.
So special and so unique. And, most other festivals are just like kind of in some random field in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And so, kind of knowing that, like, that we have this sort of special, unique view from, in downtown Chicago, like, why aren't we taking more advantage of it being in Chicago and kind of inviting more of that, that specialness of the city into the festival. Sure. I think that's always sort of been kind of something that's been really missed, especially as, Chicago has gotten more and more attention in the last, 5 to 10 years because of its music scene.
Absolutely. Britt Julius writes about nightlife and music for the Chicago Tribune, and Lollapalooza has been canceled. How do you feel about how Lollapalooza has been scheduled in terms of how they schedule the acts?
So I can't speak on to this with authority, but I do know, acts are usually chosen for music festivals at least like a year in advance. And so I don't know if that's specifically the case for Lollapalooza, but I know for many other festivals that they will, kind of book artists at least a year in advance. And so knowing that, artists that are selected for Lollapalooza, they're kind of almost like anticipating, will they be successful? Will they not be successful in the next year?
Yeah.
Kind of who will be, how they will kind of, will they kind of pop in the larger world? And of course, like, logistically, I think that like makes sense. So that I think that also kind of leaves a lot to be desired, because there could be, someone who maybe should have a bigger stage or a better time slot. There's an artist who, has blown up over like the past year that has completely not been booked, or you're kind of locked into having these artists on your festival who maybe were great a year before and have completely fallen off in the years since. So I think that, and of course, that's just a logistics issue. And planning festivals of those size, you can't really, you can't just, make decisions like last minute like that.
Sure.
So I understand it in that sense.
Yeah.
But, as a fan, as a music lover, it can sometimes be frustrating.
Yeah. And you know what else is frustrating is I know people who go to Lollapalooza who literally sit down and take hours to figure out where they're gonna be at what stage and what show they're gonna watch.
Right. Yeah. Oh my! You have to make those kind of decisions, right? Because walking across from one side of Grant Park to the next can be a good 20, 30
Oh yeah,
minutes.
absolutely, yeah.
It's like you're like, okay, like how much of this set do I want to see? Am I okay with missing this artist? Like, those are big decisions.
Yeah, yeah. Now they have not really said anything about they want to do some sort of virtual event for Lollapalooza to kind of replace that. Have any other details come out about that?
No, what I know is kind of what everyone else knows, in that, it would take place over the 3-4 days of when Lollapalooza would normally take place. It's going to have a mix of, sets from, live music sets, as well as, streaming of past performances from past Lollapalooza festivals, both from Chicago as well as from around the world. But they have not released any additional specifics regarding that yet.
Okay. Well, it's a shame that this virus is shutting down the music scene in Chicago, and I know it's tough for you, Britt, because that's your job.
Right.
Yeah. Have you been writing?
Yeah.
Have you been writing about anything else for the Trib?
So, I've largely just focused on music and nightlife and culture, and just really kind of looking at it now, in particular, how does culture that is so reliant on people being together, how does that survive, right? How does that, how do people kind of make it possible? And people are still doing, many different things to, continue to bring people together.
Yeah.
But of course, the stakes are a lot different, and the ways in which they do it are a lot different as well.
Well, Britt, a real pleasure talking to you. It was fun.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry that Lollapalooza has been canceled, but I can understand why it has, and I think we all can.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's public safety, and for some people, they have talked to me. They are really upset, and they just don't get it, and I don't know.
No, the public safety is first. I totally understand. It's frustrating. Right. It's very frustrating, but you know what? You got to stay healthy. That's the first most important thing. Britt, a delight to talk to you, and we do this again sometime. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, there you go. Britt Julius from the Chicago Tribune, writing about music and nightlife, and her take on Lollapalooza being canceled this year. All right, it's Nick Digilio on 720 WGN.
Lindemann Chimney Heating and Cooling. That's right. Lindemann Chimney and Fireplaces, now Lindemann Chimney Heating and Cooling. With over 50 years of world-class customer service, trust Lindemann to keep your family safe and comfortable all year long. With summer around the corner, now's the time to get your annual air conditioning tune-up by the pros at Lindemann Chimney Heating and Cooling. Normally $150, but for WGN listeners, just $97. The best $97 you'll spend all year. To schedule, go to lindemann.com. That's lindemann.com.
This is Ira Antelis, creator of 120 Life. We produce a natural juice drink to help lower your blood pressure, which is especially important these days. You've probably heard about us here on WGN Radio. I have tried marketing 120 Life with various media outlets, but our campaign on WGN Radio has delivered the best results by far. If you want to reach a large audience in Chicago and beyond, there is no better place to be. For information regarding how your product or business can benefit from WGN Radio, call Steve at 773-616-5845.
Save today on your next project with 11% off everything. Now at Menards. Menards has what you need to start and finish your projects. Plus, you'll save 11% on all of it. Menards offers contactless pickup. Order and pay for your items online, and we'll load your order into your vehicle with zero contact. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through June 13th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
This is an important announcement for anyone who wants health insurance, even if you missed the deadline. That's right. Don't worry if you missed the deadline for open enrollment. Right now, you can get the health insurance you and your family need from top insurance providers, even if you have pre-existing conditions or no insurance at all. The Plus Benefits Health Insurance toll-free number has been extended to help anyone who wants health insurance coverage now, or anyone who just needs a better plan or a lower price. Did you miss the penalty deadline, have a baby, get married, or get dropped from your plan? Don't worry, plans are available now, and in just minutes, we will help you find the right plan that's best for you and your budget. Call Plus Benefits Health Insurance now at 800-355-7207. The call is 100% free, and the help is real. You can finally get health insurance that's right for you. But hurry and get covered before it's too late.
Call 800-355-7207 now to get the best plan at the lowest price. Call 800-355-7207. That's 800-355-7207. 800-355-7207.
Yeah. Who is this?
Starship.
Starship. You know what I thought it was? Boy, that's 80s.
Very 80s.
That's
but
so
very
80s.
cool.
You know what I thought it was with the beginning there for a second? I thought it was Whitesnake.
It's got a little bit of that white snakiness.
Yeah. I thought it was like Whitesnake. Then I heard Mickey Thomas start singing. And I was like, what?
What was the name of the singer of Whitesnake again? It's
David Coverdale.
David Coverdale.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
He used to be with Deep Purple, too, man.
He did.
Yeah.
What? That was Deep Purple, like Mark 8?
Deep Purple,
Mark 7?
They've had 75 singers, Deep Purple. And different. I mean, the only constant in Deep Purple has been Richie Blackmore.
True that.
That's the only constant. Hey, the news is next from the Northwestern Medicine Newsroom. And our good friend Dan Feinberg, TV critic for The Hollywood Reporter, is going to join us. Always great to talk to Dan. Always a lot of TV to talk about. Everybody's stuck in the house. What are you going to watch? We'll give you some advice. 312-981-7200. Okay, we've got this weird story here. So, Tom, you found this story. How did you find this? And don't you think it's like one of the craziest stories?
I was legitimately disturbed by this. This is from a website I check every once in a while because I love international news. I love the news of the world, but only the really odd stuff.
Sure.
Because, you know, there's a bunch of weird stuff that happens here in the States.
That's kind of what this show focuses on as well.
Yeah. The odd, the strange.
Yes.
The things you cannot believe.
And the funny.
Yes.
So, what website is it?
So this is The Independent.
Oh, The Independent.
The Independent, which is, you know, if you want to know what's going on in the UK outside of what the BBC is reporting on, you know, they've always got a good resource there.
Okay. Well, here's the headline, and I'm not making this up. Belgian man has been receiving pizzas he never ordered for almost a decade. And this, again, I don't know if you were listening yesterday, but Tom's secret desire is to be a pizza delivery guy. So would you just continue to deliver pizzas to this Belgian dude?
Listen, if the person who's writing the check, you know, who's ever writing my paycheck says, you got to deliver this pizza, the pizza's going to get delivered. But, you know, I would feel bad. Eventually, once he starts begging me to stop delivering pizzas to me. I think I might have to listen eventually. I feel like a decade, for almost a decade, this guy has been receiving pizzas he never ordered.
This is crazy. The thought of a delivery driver dropping off a stack of pizzas unexpectedly may sound like a dream come true to many, but not for Jean van Landenham, who shakes with fear every time he hears a scooter outside his home in the Belgian city of Turnhout. The 65-year-old says he has been plagued by delivery drivers turning up on his doorstep with pizza he hasn't ordered at all hours of the day for almost a decade. Wait. This is just such a weird story. At first, he put it down to a mix-up with the delivery address, but the orders, which reportedly included other fast foods such as kebabs, kept turning up several times a day. Mr. Van Langdingham's pizza terror, quote-unquote, came to a head in January last year when 10 separate delivery drivers turned up on the same day, including one with 14 pizzas. He told Hetlaste News, "I cannot sleep anymore. I start shaking every time I hear a scooter on the street. I dread that someone will come to drop off hot pizzas yet another time." Mr. Van Langdingham says he has not had to pay for the pizzas because he has always refused the orders, but the situation is frustrating for him and the restaurants. A friend of his, living about 20 miles away in Herenthout, has experienced a similar situation for the same amount of time. The incidents have been reported to the police, who, along with two victims, believe it must be someone that they both know. Mr. Van Langdingham says, quote, "It will not be their best day when he eventually finds the culprit, but for now it remains a mystery." So Someone's order. That's the old trick. The old let's order a pizza that somebody didn't order trick. Only you've been doing it for 10 years to this guy. One guy shows up with 14 pizzas. Can't they trace the call? Can't the pizza place call up the cops and go, let's trace this call? Well, you can't really because you can't narrow. No, yeah. I mean, you trace the call because they're going to ask where to deliver it, and they're going to give this guy his address, so you're going to know that it's probably, this horrible prank. Yeah, I used to think that there's, Tom, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I used to believe that there was, in fact, never too much pizza.
I did learn in college that there is such a thing.
Yeah, well, sure, you're in college, though.
Yeah. My thing used to be, because I couldn't afford to order pizza because I was kind of broke.
Yeah.
I had just enough money to pay my tuition, pay the rent.
Yeah, and eat some ramen.
But I would go across to the 7-Eleven right across Sheridan on Pratt. And they would cook
been there
pizza.
Several times.
Yeah, they would cook the pizza. They have a magic science oven that cooks a full pepperoni pizza in 2.5 minutes, and it's $5.
Wow.
And that's your dinner for 2 nights.
Yeah.
Bingo.
As a college student.
A college student.
Yeah. Did you eat a lot of mac and cheese? Yeah, lots of mac and cheese. Well, this is a crazy story. Let's see. Here's Eric on WGN. Eric, you're a pizza delivery guy?
I am, Nick. How are you tonight?
All right.
So, my opinion of this would be, how in the hell do these pizza shops not tag in their computer systems this guy's address?
Yeah.
And know not to show up there.
I totally agree. That makes I don't know why that hasn't been done yet. I mean, they've got. I'm assuming they have the technology overseas to do that.
I would assume the same thing, my friend.
Yeah.
And our delivery service, our deliveries are kind of dispatched on our phones.
Yeah.
And so on our phones, we have a list of all the deliveries that are coming up.
Yeah.
And as they're given to us, we assign them on our phone, takes them out of the list from the rest of the phones. Excuse me. And then we have a start the run. They paid us and end the run when we get back to the shop. And so, how do you not know that you shouldn't go to this address and these guys don't want these pizzas?
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense, Eric. All right, Eric, thanks, buddy. Take care.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
There you go. He's doing your dream job.
I know. I'm jealous, Eric. I'm super jealous.
Jealous of Eric because he's a pizza delivery guy.
Let me do a ride along, kind of like Training Day. You could be Denzel, Eric, and I'll be your Ethan Hawke, and I'll do a ride along.
Yeah.
Domino's ain't got stuff on me.
You gonna make him take drugs too?
Yeah, we'll do lines of mozzarella.
Yeah. Well, all right. So this Belgian guy been receiving pizzas he's never ordered for almost a decade. They don't know who's doing it. A friend of his who lives 20 miles away is also getting is in a similar situation. So, just a weird story. Here's Lulu on WGN. Go ahead, Lulu.
Nick, what I can't figure out is why these pizza companies were sending to that address for 10 years when they knew this was going on.
Yeah.
I mean, they could put it under a different person's name, but there should be a red flag. And then when they got the 14 pizzas, I worked at a pizza restaurant when I was in high school. And when you have an unusually large order, you make sure that it's legit.
Yeah. So
that's what just surprises me, because you were talking about this last night, too. And I'm thinking, who's running the restaurant?
Yeah. No, it doesn't make any sense. All right, Lulu, thanks.
No, thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Just such a weird story, and we thought we'd share it with you.
I want to see some reform in the Belgian pizza community.
Yeah.
I want to see some oversight, maybe a little bureaucracy.
In the Belgian pizza community, that's a very specific thing.
They're very proud people.
Yeah. All right, well, this guy's still getting pizzas he doesn't want. It's a crazy story. They got to figure out who's doing this, man.
You know, do you think they have like detectives that could work on this?
Pizza detectives?
Yeah, like, you know, maybe Detective Manchego. Just get on it. I want to see some progress on this case. 10 years.
Well, we'll keep our eye on what's happening. Dan Feinberg from the Hollywood Reporter is going to talk TV after the news.
Chicago parks are open. Beaches are going to be next. One group wants to introduce social distancing ambassadors. Do they really mean hall monitors? We'll talk about it. Pro-Con Show at 3.
We're Chicago's very own WGN.
All right, we got a lot of TV to talk about. It's always a lot of fun when Dan Feinberg joins us every couple of weeks. If you have any TV-related questions, 312-981-7200. 312-981-7200. Dan Feinberg will talk TV with us after the news, which is happening right now.
Serving the great Midwest from Chicago, this is 720 WGN. And on your smart device, just by saying play WGN Radio on TuneIn.
WGN Chicago.
A Nexstar Media Group station.
I'm Vic Vaughn in the WGN Radio Newsroom. The news is sponsored by Antenna TV. There's a dust-up in Springfield, and it's spreading between Republican lawmakers and the governor as the state tries to reopen its economy. First, the WGN forecast. Here's meteorologist Demetrius Ivory.
Clouds will continue to break up late tonight. The low temperature down to 60 degrees, and sunshine comes our way Thursday. The high temperature right around 80. Friday, more sun. We're into the upper 70s there. We do cool down significantly for Saturday. It's only going to be in the mid to upper 60s, cooler by the lake. Mostly sunny skies, though. And on Sunday, we'll see partly cloudy conditions. We warm up a little bit with highs climbing into the mid to upper 70s. I'm WGN meteorologist Demetrius Ivory.
There's unrest in Springfield, and it's spreading between Republican lawmakers and the governor as the state tries to reopen its economy. WGN political reporter Tamon Bradley has details.
In recent days, the governor marched side by side with demonstrators protesting the death of George Floyd. Not exactly social distancing. Republicans are on the attack. The Illinois GOP blasted out a series of tweets. It's clear Governor Pritzker no longer takes his own COVID-19 orders seriously. While Phase 3 rules prohibit gatherings of more than 10 people, apparently the rules don't apply to him. State Representative Grant Worley posted, "I cannot stand two-faced politicians. They operate under different rules, want you to do as they say but not take their own advice. They flout the very laws they put into place. Governor Pritzker is the worst offender of them all, even by Illinois standards." Yesterday, the governor fired back.
Sometimes I go places and it's very difficult to get socially distanced when an awful lot of people show up, and I'm not going to run away. And especially at this moment, it's important to express ourselves. It's important to have the governor stand with them on issues that are important to the state.
Pritzker also set his sights on the Illinois Republican congressional delegation over President Trump's behavior.
If you can't see that this president is offensive to most Americans, is that he stands for policies that are attacking many Americans, and if the Republican representatives in the state of Illinois can't talk about that, can't call it out when they see it, they shouldn't be holding public office.
Today, the state's GOP senators sent this letter to Governor Pritzker asking him to lift more COVID-19 closings. As the demonstrations taking place garner much of the media's attention, we continue to hear the voices of our constituents, those not protesting, but who remain worried their businesses, their livelihoods, and their communities remain at continued economic risk.
I want people to get back to work faster. I was a businessman before I became governor. Believe me, I understand the challenge.
A man killed during a Memorial Day arrest by Minneapolis police was laid to rest Tuesday. Today, his brother testified on Capitol Hill calling for police reform. Next on Washington, correspondent Jesse Tenor.
He didn't deserve to die over $20.
Just one day after burying his brother in Houston, Philonis Floyd pleaded for the lives of other Black Americans before the House Judiciary Committee in Washington.
This is 2020. Enough is enough.
Floyd told lawmakers officers should be held accountable so deadly force is only used rarely.
Make law enforcement the solution and not the problem.
Democrats like Tennessee Congressman Steve Cohen advocated for the sweeping police reform legislation they introduced Monday, including independent prosecutors in cases of police brutality.
To determine if a law enforcement officer may have violated the law in using deadly force or force at all.
Louisiana Congressman Cedric Richmond highlighted the benefits of community investment.
You move some resources from a constitutional police department that you created to after-school funding.
Defunding police is really not about defunding police. It's about funding other things.
Republicans like Louisiana Congressman Mike Johnson oppose cutting police budgets, but support reforms that focus on transparency, training, and termination.
Officers like the ones involved in the death of George Floyd are not representative of the vast majority of America's law enforcement officers.
While Republicans work with the White House on an alternate police reform bill, Democrats are already moving to change theirs by renaming it in honor of George Floyd. In Washington, I'm Jesse Tenor.
Amazon says it'll stop allowing police department use of its facial recognition technology. Says it'll do so for at least a year. The move's reportedly to allow time for congressional lawmakers in Washington to come up with ways to regulate the technology. Family visits at nursing homes are resuming in Massachusetts and other states. They still have to wear masks and adhere to social distancing. The visits came to a virtual standstill back in mid-March. It was aimed at protecting older Americans who live with underlying health conditions, protecting them from the coronavirus. Family visits at nursing homes across Illinois are still banned under Governor Pritzker's plan to reopen the state. Illinois health officials have updated the latest statewide COVID-19 numbers. They report 78 more deaths during the most recent 24-hour period and 625 new infections. That's the smallest increase in new COVID-19 cases since late March. WGN Sports. NASCAR has banned the Confederate flag from its races and properties. This after calls to do so from Bubba Wallace, its only black driver. Lawyers representing the former marketing agent for NBA rookie and former Duke All-American Zion Williamson are continuing their legal push to examine whether Williamson accepted improper benefits before playing for the Blue Devils. In a new court filing, Prime Sports Ford attorneys argue that Williamson didn't meet the definition of a student athlete at the time because he was, quote, permanently ineligible to play college sports. That argument about his eligibility is at the center of the legal fight over his endorsement potential. Williamson was the #1 NBA draft pick last summer. He's suing Prime Sports, accusing it of violating North Carolina's sports agent law. I'm Vic Vaughn on Chicago's very own 720 WGN.
You hear it all over. Amy Kite guarantees she'll sell your home or she'll buy it. Well, it's still true. This is John Williams, and you've got a home and it needs to be sold, so you call Amy Kite of Keller Williams Realty Infinity. And as you're making that call, you realize maybe this isn't the best time to be selling. Can people even come by? Well, remember, Amy Kite guarantees she'll sell your home or she will buy it. And your job is to get it ready to be sold. Then, using the technology of today, Amy will do Zoom, FaceTime, and phone meetings. Amy will set up a virtual open house that virtually opens everyone to see your home. Using Matterport technology, which allows potential buyers to physically walk through your house without being in your house, you'll never miss a showing. Use the time in your house to prepare your house for Amy Kite to sell it. Contact Amy Kite today at 847-877-9881. That's 847-877-9881. Or visit amywillsellyourhome.com.
Hello, Nick Digilio here on 720 WGN, and we're live in the Skyline studio here, 18 stories above beautiful downtown Chicago, on a Thursday morning. Welcome. 312-981-7200 is the phone number. Coming up a little bit later on, Chris Bowden and Joe Brand from Blackhawks Crazy Podcast right here at WGN Radio are going to join us. Just talk a little bit about the possible return of the NHL and the Hawks and all that kind of cool stuff. We always play some classic Johnny Carson. You can watch the Johnny Carson Show on Antenna TV every night. And we're going to play back Politician Lie Detector, which is a bit that is going to be very funny. We're also going to be talking about great backyard games, and feral chickens are plaguing a New Zealand town. So we're going to talk about incidents that we've had with animals or wildlife, things like that. 312-981-7200 is the phone number if you want to join us. We're talking TV. If you got any TV questions or anything like that, join us. Dan Feinberg, TV critic for The Hollywood Reporter. He joins us bi-weekly to talk TV. There's always a lot of TV to talk about, and people are stuck inside, want to watch some TV, and we'll tell you about some of it. And here is Dan. Hi, Dan.
How you doing, Nick?
All right. How are you, sir?
I appreciate our bi-weekly visits because it means that one day out of every 2 weeks, I know what the day of the week is. So I'm feeling pretty good about this being Wednesday into Thursday.
That's exactly what it is. Well, I'm glad we can organize a little bit of your life like that. So anyway,
just a tiny bit.
Check out the fine print, and he covers it. The fine print. That's FIEN. There's always a lot of TV to talk about. First of all, did you see the season finale of What We Do in the Shadows?
I did indeed. It wrapped a very, very good season for that show.
A great season. A great season. I just love that. I don't want to give anything away, but I just love the how much Guillermo kicked ass in the episode. I was just thrilled by that. I don't know.
It was a good resolution to kind of the arc out the season and to where they left things at the end of last season. I am very disappointed that it's over for, I mean, heaven knows how long at this point, because maybe they're in a writer's room right now online working on season 3, but it's going to be a long time, and definitely, every little glint of light for the past couple weeks or the past couple months, it's been good to have that for 22 minutes.
I agree. I totally agree. It was a show that you could just laugh for half an hour and just forget about everything else and just laugh. And the cast is so funny. Everybody in that cast is hilarious, and I think the writing is great, and I think they did a great job. And I love the movie, and I was kind of like, I don't know how they're going to be able to make a series out of this, but they did a great job. They went in kind of a different direction, and I think it's great.
I still prefer the movie because I still just think it works better with the tone, but I think they've done so many good individual things this season. I mean, not just the Jackie Daytona episode, which we talked about before, but I think what they've done with the character of Colin Robinson all season has been tremendous. Just a good season. And if people haven't watched, they can definitely catch up on 2 seasons worth on Hulu, and that's a good way to spend a handful of hours.
Absolutely, and it'll take your mind off of things too, because it's just a funny show. And again, I thought they wrapped it up great. I thought the finale was fantastic. So. All right, and I'm sorry it's gone as well, Dan. I felt that way at the end of Zoe at the Extraordinary Playlist. I was like, what? This is a show that made me feel good for an hour every week.
And it's too bad because it's not like there aren't good things, and it's not like there haven't been good things that have been premiering lately, but most of them at this point, nearly all of them, have been on the streaming services. So they're binge shows. And if you have no particular restraint when it comes to watching those shows, they're gone in 2 days.
Exactly.
So it was always, I'm not one of those people who feels like every show really and truly should air every week because that's how buzz builds and all of that. I think some shows are really, really good in, binge doses, but there's just a pleasure that in the past couple months in particular, I've been able to get out of weekly shows. Like, I mean, even something like Top Chef. When Top Chef is over for the season, I'm going to be so sad because I have needed that show every Thursday night.
Yeah, and I love this season. It's it's an all-star season. Are you rooting for anybody particular?
I think I'm rooting for Kevin. I think my instinct is just to root for Kevin, but on the other hand, it's a good final group. I've been impressed with sort of how Stephanie's arc has gone this season. I'm hoping that Champagne Padma comes back because Champagne Padma is the best. But no, they've just done so well this season. And once again, just having that show, even with the number of different prizes that they've had to have been tied to things that don't actually exist anymore.
I know.
Go to the premiere of Trolls 2.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go to the Olympics.
Yep.
No, I guess not.
Yeah.
But even with those things, that show has been a lifeline. So, once those shows are gone, it's really just stuff. It's the weekly dose of John Oliver. It's Jesus and Marrow. Those are the things that are going to be keeping me going, I think.
Well, I mean, Top Chef this season has been so much. I'm rooting for Melissa. I love Melissa, and
no, Melissa's fantastic, and I think it would be Melissa versus Kevin for whose restaurant I would want to eat at, but whichever Voltaggio it is, he makes good food. I would eat what he makes. I've been to his brother's restaurant.
Oh, have you?
It's really good.
Is
so,
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, that's Top Chef, and it keeps me going. I watch it Friday mornings. Dan, I watch it every Friday morning when I get home from work. It's the first thing I do is watch Top Chef, and
I couldn't wait that long. I buffer 15 minutes so I don't have to deal with the commercials, and then I just watch.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Listen, why don't we take a quick break? There's a lot to talk about here, Dan, and there always is. And we got a couple of listener questions already. So hang on, Dan.
Excellent.
Hang on.
Sure.
There's Dan Feinberg is with us. He covers TV for The Hollywood Reporter, and he joins us bi-weekly to talk TV. And we'll talk that some more.
You're coming home with a trunk full of groceries and it's raining hard. You pull into your driveway, hit the garage door remote, and nothing happens. Now what?
Green Tea Services, service to a green tea.
Hi, it's Tonya Khoury from my family business, Green Tea Services. Right now, we have a garage door maintenance special. Our trained technicians come out and adjust the springs, check the cables, inspect the rollers, tighten hinges, and give your door and opener a complete lubrication. All for just $47.
Service to a green tea.
Garage doors fail when you least expect it. Don't get stuck in or out of your garage. Call for our $47 garage door maintenance special. Call Green Tea now for details. 800-5-GREEN-TEA.
Green Tea Services, service to a green tea. 800-5-GREEN-TEA.
800-5-GREEN-TEA or greenteaservices.com.
Non-attorney paid spokesperson. Could your house go into foreclosure? Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Does it seem like the bank has no interest in helping you save your home and you feel like you have nowhere to turn for help? Then we have good news for you. Foreclosure Protection Services can help save your home as they specialize in foreclosure assistance. That's all they do. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, being threatened with foreclosure, have been denied a loan modification, or been the victim of a predatory loan, it's critical that you call Foreclosure Protection Services now at 800-630-1133. Their network of attorneys and their agents are available to speak to you now. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, Foreclosure Protection Services can help stop the foreclosure process. Call today before it's too late. New laws are in effect that may save your home. Call Foreclosure Protection Services now at 800-630-1133. 800-630-1133. That's 800-630-1133.
Larry Potash.
Breaking news, 2 men are now in custody.
He's real.
How about that?
He's trusted.
Protesters are expected to return to
He's what makes watching news in the morning better.
I got the VHS tapes to prove it.
Watch Larry and the rest of the WGN TV morning news team weekdays 4 to 10.
Right. Nick Digilio here on 720 WGN. We are live in the Skyline studio on a Thursday morning. 312-981-7200 is the phone number. Dan Feinberg, TV critic for The Hollywood Reporter, joins us bi-weekly to talk TV. Always a lot of TV for Dan to talk about. And hello, Dan.
Hello, Nick.
We have a listener question that says, what's the status of Bye Bye Birdie with J-Lo?
Oh, we ask NBC Brass about that one every time we get together for TCA Press Tour. But because TCA Press Tour for July has, along with everything else in our world, been canceled, we will not get the chance to do that this year. NBC has had a string of live shows that I was really, really looking forward to seeing them try to do that simply have fallen apart for various and sundry reasons. So this is one where it's just sort of in limbo because they had J-Lo doing all sorts of different things. There's World of Dance that she does. There were 3 seasons of Shades of Blue, a show that some people, I suppose, remember existed. And so it kept getting pushed back. They said they were going to do Hair. Then I think at a certain point they realized you can't really do Hair as a live, family-friendly musical.
Right.
They were going to be doing a live stage show of A Few Good Men, and they boasted for a couple of years they were going to do that. And I'm pretty sure Alec Baldwin was going to play Jessup, and that was going to be cool, but then that got put on the back burner. So the answer is that I don't think they've said for sure that Bye Bye Birdie with J-Lo is dead. But it's all just in spinning around in circles, and I would love to watch it. So I hope they find a way to make it happen. But I'm not holding my breath.
Have these live musicals done well in the ratings? Are a lot of people watching them?
They've had a mixed report, honestly, and so obviously the first couple. The first one was Sound of Music, and it was a huge hit, and everyone was like, "Yay!" And then they did Peter Pan, and it was a disaster, and everyone was like, "Oh, boo!" And then they did The Wiz, and it was successful, yay! So it's up and down. It's up and down. Fox has had a real roller coaster. They did Grease; it was a massive hit. Then they did kind of canned versions of Rocky Horror, and that was a disaster, and it was just awful. Then they did Rent Live, which was a big old mess and didn't do very well. So there's always value to a successful live thing on television, because that's the thing that you do that actually gets people in theory to watch live, and you stick commercials everywhere and you make a ton of money off of it. But they've become so hit and miss. ABC had a lot of success with Little Mermaid. It did reasonably well, so they're going to probably do things of that ilk. Everyone's trying it, and no one is saying that they're done with that kind of thing. But obviously, at this point, there was the Disney sing-along that ABC did 2 different versions of last month, and those did fairly well. And those weren't exactly live, but they were live-ish. Yeah, there's value in these, and we'll see. I mean, we'll see once this all ends if live theater is still the thing that people are doing. And maybe under that circumstance, exactly the perfect thing is to be doing live shows without an audience that people can all watch together, but no audience. So we'll see. I mean,
I remember really enjoying Jesus Christ Superstar.
Jesus Christ Superstar was a success. It was nominated for a bunch of Emmys. It was I'm not a big fan of it as a musical, and I thought that was a great production of the show. So, but then Fox did whatever that strange Easter Passion thing that they did with Chris Daughtry and a few other people, and that was a big ratings disappointment. So for every single one that works, there are at this point about 2 that aren't as successful, which for contemporary TV is not a horrible ratio. And so I assume they'll keep trying once the world gets going again.
By the way, you mentioned John Oliver. He's great every week. He's fantastic every week. But this last episode was unbelievable. Really, really unbelievable.
He so clearly felt that the week before, because of the shooting on Saturday, and that's a horrible word choice on my part, because of the fact that they shoot episodes on Saturday.
Right.
They were a day behind on all of the stories about the protests and the arrests and just all of the chaos that was happening. And you could tell how bad he felt that they had missed that and how much genuine anger he had built up. So this week's episode was very powerful.
It was, absolutely. Okay. Quiz. Let's talk about that.
Actually, an entertaining TV show that people can watch, and an entertaining TV show that exists in 3 very easily digestible episodes, the first of which premiered last Sunday, the second will premiere next Sunday, and the third the week after. It is a British-produced show, but airing on AMC, and it's the story of, if you happen to be in England, a famous and notorious cheating scandal involving the original incarnation of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Okay.
And it stars, among other people, Matthew McFadden from Succession and Sean Clifford from Fleabag, and the great Michael Sheen playing the host of the British Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And it's directed by Stephen Frears, and it's based on a stage show, and it's just an interesting look at kind of the illusion of competition television, of game show television, the suspension of disbelief that we have to do at home to believe that everything is on the up and up, the suspension of disbelief the producers have to do to believe that their show is perfect and infallible and cannot be cheated upon. And so it takes a case that initially seems very cut and dry, and that certainly, as reported in the British media when it happened and when the trial happened, appeared to be very cut and dry, and is just really interestingly pragmatic and intelligent and fun about it. And so it's amusing. It's sort of very behind the scenes TV fun. So if you're kind of into the origins of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and how they rigged up the suspense of all of it, it's a great look at that. It's not as good as Quiz Show, the movie Quiz Show, which is pretty much the definitive depiction of game show cheating out there. One of the great movies, honestly, ever. It's truly one of my favorite movies. Yeah. But it's fun, and it's interesting, and it's consistently compelling, even if you think you know what the result of the whole scandal is. So I recommend it, and it's also short. It doesn't overstay its welcome, which so many things these days do.
That's true. So it's called Quiz. How did it end up on AMC?
It's an ITV show from the UK, and AMC was the American partner that got in on the action. Oh. They saw the potential of it. And so, could obviously just as easily have ended up on HBO or something like that. And it has that feeling. But it was produced for ITV in the UK, ITV, which was also the network that aired Millionaire in the UK, and that also aired a wildly successful documentary by Martin Bashir about the cheating scandal as well. So the British audiences can't get enough of it. This was a massive hit in the UK when it premiered earlier in the spring.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you mentioned the great Michael Sheen. How much fun is he in this?
He's a ton of fun. It's very much a supporting role, and I think he's so compelling that once you spot him in the ads, it's hard to take your eyes off of him. He's got very, very blonde hair. He's got bleached eyebrows. He's talking out of his nose, a very nasally, proper voice. He's just such a fun actor to watch going, and so many actors would be I don't think afraid to go as big as sometimes he goes.
Oh man,
and he has no fears whatsoever about showing scenery, and he's having a lot of fun here.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's one of the things about Michael Sheen that's so much fun, is just like he'll do anything. You know what I mean? And he will choose scenery and steal scenes, and I love it every time he does it.
He is incredibly talented, and then every time you watch a performance like this and see how big he can go, it's always important to remember Masters of Sex on Showtime, which was a remarkably internalized and small and intense performance. Yeah. So he really can do anything he wants to. He just obviously gets a lot of pleasure out of this sort of hammy role.
Yeah. All right. That's the great Michael Sheen. And this airs on, what night does it air on AMC?
It airs on Airs on Sunday nights, and it might be just as well if people want to wait a few weeks and binge the whole thing. But it's also fun to watch on a weekly basis as well.
There you go. And that's called Quiz. All right. If you have any questions about television, Dan Feinberg is with us. 312-981-7200. The phone lines are open. 312-981-7200. And Dan, lots more TV to talk about. Hold on.
Excellent.
Okay, Dan Feinberg from The Hollywood Reporter is a TV critic. You can check him out at The Fine Print, Fien. If you have any questions about television, 312-981-7200. The phone lines are open, and we will take your questions about TV coming up.
Cleaning up around the house lately? Wondering if that old autograph is worth money? Is your sports memorabilia trash or treasure? Call in and ask our expert after the 7:30 a.m. news. Quarantainment in the morning.
Bob's Rock, Radio Chicago, WGN.
Building means getting things done with help from partners. Woodland Windows and Doors celebrates 50 years building relationships that get things done. Remodelers, builders, and architects turn to the dedicated Woodland Trade commercial team for a variety of window and door brands, designer services, and quick turnaround estimates. Historic renovations, new construction, or commercial, Woodland does it all. For 5 decades, Woodland has served building professionals, and they thank you for that. Contractor special discount through June. 630-503-6341. See woodlandwindows.com.
Secretary of State facilities are now open, but until July 31st, only new drivers and those with expired licenses and IDs will be served. Vehicle stickers can also be renewed. There's no need to rush in. All expiration dates have been extended, and the Real ID deadline is now October 2021. Safety measures, including social distancing, are in place, so please be patient. Avoid lines by renewing online or by phone. For more information, visit cyberdriveillinois.com.
This is an important announcement for anyone who wants health insurance, even if you missed the deadline. That's right. Don't worry if you missed the deadline for open enrollment. Right now, you can get the health insurance you and your family need from top insurance providers, even if you have pre-existing conditions or no insurance at all. The Plus Benefits Health Insurance toll-free number has been extended to help anyone who wants health insurance coverage now, or anyone who just needs a better plan or a lower price. Did you miss the penalty deadline, have a baby, get married, or get dropped from your plan? Don't worry, plans are available now, and in just minutes, we will help you find the right plan that's best for you and your budget. Call Plus Benefits Health Insurance now at 800-355-7207. The call is 100% free, and the help is real. You can finally get health insurance that's right for you. But hurry and get covered before it's too late.
Call 800-355-7207 now to get the best plan at the lowest price. Call 800-355-7207. That's 800-355-7207. 800-355-7207. It's Nick Digilio on 720 WGN. We're live in the Skyline studio here until 4 a.m., keeping you company, keeping you informed, and keeping you to get through this. We'll do it together. 312-981-7200 is the phone number. Coming up in a little bit, we got Chris Bowden and Joe Brand from Blackhawks Crazy Podcast, and we're going to talk a little bit about the return of NHL, hopefully, and more. It is Dan Feinberg. He's a TV critic for The Hollywood Reporter. He joins me every other week to talk about TV. And our phone lines are open if you have any TV questions. 312-981-7200. Hello, Dan.
Hello, Nick.
All right. Let's talk about Dirty John, the Betty Broderick story. I've been seeing a lot of commercials for this.
Indeed, this is like Quiz, another based on fact-limited series. This is somewhat inexplicably the second quote-unquote season of the Dirty John franchise. The first season was on Bravo last year, starred Connie Britton and Eric Bana. It was based on a very particular case in which the male antagonist was nicknamed Dirty John.
Yeah.
The new season has absolutely nothing to do with him because why would it? It's not like he's a returning character who features in other people's narratives. So they just decided to graft on the name of one sociopathic con man onto a story about something completely different and call it a franchise.
Now,
Really perplexing.
it's weird how they do that. And this has become a trend, Dan, because we were talking about it. I remember when you talked about Penny Dreadful. And
Penny Dreadful made more sense, though, because that was fictional, and it was sort of a fictional universe. These are two real horrible cases in which people died, and to yoke them together as a fact-based limited series brand, to me, is kind of gross as heck. But what do I know? You do you, NBC Universal, but no longer on Bravo, because Bravo had a brief window where they thought they were doing scripted programming and then shrugged and said, okay, whatever. And so it's now on USA, a cable network that happens to also be somewhat moving out of the scripted programming business. It stars Amanda Peet as Betty Broderick, who some people who remember things from the late 80s, early 90s will remember killed her husband. And the case was a notorious piece of national news because, like I said, she killed her husband and his new wife, and it became a commentary on institutional sexism in the law and also gaslighting as a concept. And it became a successful television movie starring an Emmy-nominated Meredith Baxter. So this is a second version of that story. It's 8 hours. Unlike Quiz, a show that I just mentioned doesn't overstay its welcome. This one probably does not have 8 hours of story in it. Probably not anywhere close. But, what it does is it reframes the story of Betty Broderick so that Betty Broderick is front and center, and so that she's not just the woman scorned or the reactive homicidal spouse. She is a woman of some psychological complexity, and Amanda Peet is really excellent playing her. Amanda Peet is an excellent actress who, for whatever reason, Hollywood has rarely known what to do with. But anyone who saw Together, her show on HBO, anyone who saw Brockmire, of course, she's great. So, yeah, and you got Christian Slater as her husband. He's fine. He smirks a lot. That's what he does. It's not much of a character, but, if you say Christian Slater smirk, he's good at that. Rachel Keller, who some people will know from the second season of Fargo and from The Society on Netflix and from Legion on FX. She plays the mistress/second wife, and it's a utterly thankless part for her. I hope she got a good paycheck because she's third billed and has nothing to do. And there are some interesting storytelling things that it does in trying to get into her head. And then there's just a lot of tawdry sub-Lifetime material that's spinning wheels. Sometimes I thought it was effective and interesting. Other times I didn't know why it was doing what it was doing. None of the supporting characters register in the slightest. Betty and her husband have 4 kids. You'll come out of this not knowing any of their names because presumably none of them wanted to actually sign over life rights. So they're basically 4 supporting ciphers in the background. But it's not awful, and there's something to be said for enjoying a good tawdry true crime drama in times of difficulty. I just wish it could have been better or differently focused, and I still don't understand why Dear John is a franchise. But
okay.
Not for me to know.
Okay. Well, are the same people the creative force behind the first season of Dirty John in this? Creating this?
Alexander Cunningham is the franchise's runner. She was the showrunner on the first season and the second season. The first season was directed entirely by Jeffrey Reiner, who directed none of this season. The season's directors are all women, which probably is a smart and good move. But Alexander Cunningham is the primary creative force. And, I can see the things she's doing. And I can see the effort she's trying to make to move a misunderstood woman into a realm of being understandable. just wish it was done with a little bit more fluidity.
Okay. All right. So that runs on Tuesday nights, correct?
I believe so, and it's 8 episodes, and I think we're 2 episodes in now, maybe 3, because I think they might have done 2 episodes the first week.
Okay, there you go. So it's Tuesdays at 9 on USA, and that's Dirty John, the Betty Broderick story. Are they going to continue to do Dirty Johns now? Is that what's going to happen?
They haven't announced a 3rd season yet, and of course, state of the world, as we like to say, they're presumably not going to. But I feel like it's actually doing fairly well. People do seem to be talking about it at least a little, so it wouldn't surprise me. I wish there were a way they could do it without branding it this unconnected, kind of icky thing. But at this point, it's now become a brand for them. So, yeah, I would guess that they'll try doing it, except that, again, if some people are moving away from scripted programming, which of the NBC Universal family of networks is going to want to air it? Maybe it'll be on Peacock for season 3. Who knows?
Okay. All right. 312-981-7200 is the phone number if you want to join us, if you have any TV questions. We got some TV questions coming in. We're going to get one question that just came in we're going to get to a little bit later. But 312-981-7200 is the phone number. Dan, have we lost track of exactly how many streaming services there are now?
I certainly have. I can't speak to anyone else. The confusion surrounding the launch of HBO Max 2 weeks ago probably raised the bar on botched launches, because this was a property that by rights people should have been really excited to have, and people should have been like, yes, I can't wait to explore it. And people who have actually gotten into it seem to be enjoying what they have to offer. But for 2 to 3 days, all I was seeing anywhere was people going, do I have it? Do I have access to it? How do I get access to it? Someone help me. Why is no one explaining to me? Such bad communication corporately. And so I think we're going to get more and more of that as we add more and more. I think we're 3 weeks away from the launch of Peacock. Peacock's coming soon. That's the next one, is NBC Universal's Peacock, and everyone will have access to that because it's free. So that one's easy.
Okay. All right. Now, Tom, you have HBO Max, right?
I do, yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I told Dan on the phone before we brought him in, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 right now.
Wow.
I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah.
Save for the user interface is, like many streaming services, unnecessarily complicated and poorly thought out in terms of what they're pushing. You know, the first thing you see on a screen should be important and should be tailored to you, and it should be not stale every time you look at it. Right now, they're kind of pushing the same 20 movies. You know, a lot of their bigger properties, you know, they got the tab for the Harry Potter collection because they have every Harry Potter movie. It's Warner Brothers. So that appears on there. A lot of the DC stuff. But if you take a moment to look, there's a treasure trove of great shows and movies as well, because they do have the Turner Classic Movies collection. So you're getting stuff like Casablanca, Maltese Falcon, even some stuff that appears in the Criterion Collection, like Rashomon by Akira Kurosawa.
Right.
So there's a lot of really great stuff. Titanic is on there, which I recently did a 180 on. But
yeah, he watched it again, Dan. Now he loves it.
It's a well-made movie. What was not to love, or what was not to like? You know, I understand not needing to see it 50 times, you know, when you were 12 and, you know, falling in love with Leonardo DiCaprio. But as an actual movie, it's a very impressive piece of filmmaking.
I'm not crazy about it until it hits the iceberg, and then the last hour of it is great.
The last hour is spectacular.
Oh my
but
God!
I think it's pretty impressive before then as well. I think it sets the stakes. It establishes a handful of characters who you want to see either survive or freeze to death. It does the things that you need a movie of that size to do, so that when it gets to the last 30 or 45 minutes, you are cheering to see if someone's going to survive. You are cheering when a bad guy dies. You're sad when people die. It plays very, very solidly. It is both old school filmmaking, but also because it's James Cameron, it's, remarkably, wildly ahead of its time technologically.
I will say this, though. I've always said this about Titanic. There's a genius bit of storytelling in which James Cameron tells the story. In the present day stuff with Bill Paxton and Gloria Stewart, and there's one scene where they show you exactly how the ship sinks. They tell you exactly how it happens. They show you how it goes down. They explain everything to you so that when the actual sequences happen at the end of the movie, nobody has to stop to explain what's going on. And I think it's brilliant because everybody in the audience knows what's happening to the ship, and nobody has to stop. Because sometimes you have to explain what's happening, why the boat is doing this. Never had to stop. It was just nonstop all the way through, and I thought that was brilliant that they did it that way.
James Cameron is a great filmmaker, and it makes me sad that he has decided to apparently dedicate the rest of his life to Avatar sequels that lots of people don't really particularly want.
Yeah, nobody wants an. I don't know anybody who wants an Avatar sequel. I know is it still the biggest movie ever? Is it still the highest grossing movie of all time?
Oh God, I think it still is, because the amount it made internationally was insane.
Yeah,
and so it just unbelievable the amount it made internationally.
It's amazing that is the biggest movie ever made, and nobody talks about it.
Are we adjusting for inflation?
I guess. No, you can't adjust for inflation because it's gone with the wind.
When you adjust for inflation, there is only Gone with the Wind, and that is fine. But no, it made a ridiculous amount of money, and they've been talking about sequels for years, and they're making 4 sequels or something to that effect.
Yeah, something.
I'm not sure I know anyone who wants one.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Okay, Dan, hang on.
Sure.
Dan Feinberg is with us. If you have a TV question, you can give us a call. 312-981-7200. 312-981-7200. And more with Dan Feinberg. Lots more TV to talk about. And again, your questions are welcome.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bal Nandra from Ivy Solution and Ketamine Centers of Chicago. My clinic uses ketamine to conquer chronic pain, migraines, and neuropathy. Our team is committed to providing the best patient outcomes to improve your quality of life. Here's my patient Michelle, who suffered from peripheral neuropathy and chronic pain from her cancer chemotherapy treatment, describing how ketamine from Ivy Solution changed her life.
I am a cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. After all my treatment was done, I had some really intense side effects, including fatigue, neuropathy, and some pain. I talked with Dr. Balnandra about it. We decided that it was something that could help me. After one infusion, I had complete relief from all of my symptoms.
It's time you conquer your neuropathy and chronic pain. Call for your free consultation in Chicago or Kansas City, 844-9-IV-MEDS. That's 844-948-6337. Or visit ketaminechicago.com, KETAMINE Chicago.com.
The Sentinel Group sponsors this paid advertisement for legal services and is responsible for legal services. Attention. Have you or a loved one been diagnosed with cancer after using Zantac or other heartburn medications for several months? The FDA has warned that Zantac and other medications containing heartburn drug, ranitidine, may be contaminated with cancer-causing agent NDMA. Zantac may be linked to these cancers: bladder, colorectal, esophageal, intestinal, kidney, liver, ovarian, pancreatic, stomach, testicular, and uterine. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with cancer after using Zantac or other heartburn medications for several months, call now. 800-535-5760. Never stop taking medication without first consulting a physician. Call right now for a free consultation. You may be owed significant compensation. Call 800-535-5760. 800-535-5760. That's 800-535-5760.
Precious love, I give to you. Blue as the sky, deep in the eyes of a love so true.
All right. Hey, it's Nick Digilio on 720 WGN. Live in the Skyline studio. And we're here until 4 a.m. And the news is next from the Northwestern Medicine Newsroom. And coming up a little bit, our good buddies Chris Bowden and Joe Brand from Blackhawks Crazy Podcast are going to join us to talk about the when and if the NHL is going to return and the Hawks are going to play. They've proposed something. We don't know. There's no time frame on it yet, but we'll talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk about some great backyard games. And what are your favorites? And feral chickens have been running around in a New Zealand town, which the prospect of that terrifies me. So we're going to talk about our little moments with animals. But right now, it's Dan Feinberg, who joins us every couple of weeks to talk TV. He's from the Hollywood Reporter. It's always a lot of TV to talk about. If you have any TV-related questions, you want to jump in, it's 312-981-7200. 312-981-7200. Hello, Dan.
Hello, Nick.
All right, let's continue, shall we?
Sure.
All right. How about Lenox Hill?
Lenox Hill is an 8-part documentary series on Netflix that premiered on Wednesday. So today where I am, yesterday where your listeners are.
Got it.
And it's very, very straightforward. It's two filmmakers had access to basically 4 doctors over the course of a year at a major hospital in New York City. 2 of the doctors are high-ranking doctors within the neurosurgery department. 2 of them, one of them is an ER physician, and the other one is an OBGYN resident. And it follows their lives over a year, follows the cases, follows the highs and lows. Both of the 2 female doctors are pregnant as the series begins. Whether or not that's bad casting or not is something else, because it gives them fairly repetitive narratives involving, oh, look, it's another ultrasound, and et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, that's how the filmmakers ended up with things. And it's just solid. It's not great, but it's suspenseful in that way that decent medical things are. They had a lot of access in surgery rooms, so there's a lot of intracranial surgery that you get to watch. And if that's the kind of thing that makes you go, ooh, fun, then you definitely want to check out Lenox Hill. And if it's the kind of thing that makes you go, oh, gross, then you definitely don't want to check out Lenox Hill. And that's a pretty clear determination. You know, it's basically the world at this exact moment. People are talking about how great doctors are, thanks to, you know, our coronavirus COVID-19 situation. And this was obviously filmed long before that, but it's for the most part, it's watching 4 fairly good doctors try their hardest to be good doctors, and there's something reassuring about that. The drama is mid-range. It's not overly exploitative in terms of its drama, but you know, you'll get emotional at places. You'll probably cry at certain places because, you know, people are getting difficult diagnoses and they're with their families and loved ones and they're trying their hardest, and that makes it tough to watch if you happen to be vulnerable to such things. Yeah, it's not mind-blowing, but it's fairly well-timed, and at this point, content is king. And so if you 8 hours of a solid medical docudrama sounds good, Netflix has got it. Lenox Hill.
It's Lenox Hill, yeah. I don't do well with medical stuff.
Then entirely skippable because while I think it's decent. That's about all. Some of the storytelling parts of it annoyed me, but it's definitely not like so great at any one thing that I'm going to say, God, you just got to get over that. You got to watch this. It's not that good.
Okay, so that's Lenox Hill, which is it's streaming now.
It is streaming now. All 8 episodes, in and out, pretty easy. They tend to be 47 minutes to 50 minutes, which at least is not abusive in length, and I'm appreciative of relative restraint. And there's a lot of story. There's a lot of patients. Some of them are traced out over the full 8 episodes, so you actually genuinely do invest in whether or not their treatments are working. And you know, it's just some of them have cancer, and so it's tough to watch. And some of them are having strokes, and it's tough to watch. There's a lot that's tough to watch. But if you like the heroism of doctors trying to do their jobs, it covers that reasonably well.
There you go. So that's Lenox Hill, and it's on Netflix now, streaming. So there you go.
Indeed.
All right. Listen, what about I May Destroy You?
I May Destroy You. It premiered on HBO last weekend. It is a 12-episode, half-hour show, but it is really a drama, so don't let the half hour fool you. And also don't let it fool you that it comes from Michaela Cole, who some people will know as the British auteur behind Chewing Gum, which was on Netflix for a long time and now apparently is no longer on Netflix, which is bad timing because a lot of people are going to be checking it out because I May Destroy You is getting some very strong reviews, and I think as many people will find it unwatchable as will love it, but to me it is so clearly an example of seeing an emerging voice and being able to go, okay, this is a person who has something to say, and I want to watch what this person has to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I will want to watch what she has to say her next show, and I figure for years in the future, it is definitely, if you find Lenox Hill tough to watch, this one is significantly tougher to watch. It's a story of a young British woman. She's a novelist, a writer, like Michaela Cole, played by Michaela Cole. And in the first episode, which is the only one that airs, she's trying to meet deadline on a book. She's got a boyfriend in Italy she's fighting with. She's got friends she's bickering with, and she goes out with friends one evening and can't remember what happened that night, and begins to suspect that she was sexually assaulted. And so the series kind of goes from there as partially a mystery and investigation, partially a puzzle. There are certain things that she can't remember, but she has a cut over her eye. She took out a certain amount of money from an ATM, so there are the pieces of it that you're trying to put together. As the title indicates, there's an aspect of potential revenge drama, but it's also about her trying to bring her life back together and trying to find her voice. And it's occasionally funny. It's very, very funny about the self-obsession of social media and how it makes stars, sometimes just stars in their own heads, but stars. And Michaela Cole is a really compelling actress to watch. She has a very distinctive voice, and this is a show that feels very current. It feels very generational. It feels like it has a certain under-the-surface rage that I can see, that I can see on Twitter, that I can see on the news. And so even if it's not about, protests against police violence or the coronavirus or any of the things that are actually dominating our genuine news, its sensibility and its approach feel very 2020. And even in the parts of it that I didn't think worked as well, I wanted to keep watching to see what the story was going to be. Now, HBO is airing this weekly, and again, it's 12 episodes. My recommendation to people who asked me on Twitter last week is to watch it in mini binges, to wait a couple weeks and watch maybe the first 3 or 4 all in a pile. Then at that point, if you need to watch every week, you should. But I don't think it works as well in half-hour doses. I think it probably works well 2 episodes or 3 episodes at a time.
Okay, so that's the best way to watch it. And where did she come from, Michaela Cole?
Her family is from Ghana, but she just has come up through the British television and theater system. I believe she was a theater student and did theater, and Chewing Gum was her first show that she created. She created this one. She also co-directed most of the second half of the first season. Sam Miller, who's a regular British director, largely of dramas, largely of thrillers, directed the first couple, and that sort of points you in the direction of what the tone is. And this is wildly different from Chewing Gum. Chewing Gum was a raucous sex comedy. So, it is based somewhat on her own sexual assault and her own coming to terms with that. So there are autobiographical elements, and you can, it feels like a lived experience, and it feels raw, and exposed and confessional. And again, it doesn't always work. And some of the the wild variations in tone, some people are just not going to want to deal with it. It's very graphic in its treatment of sexuality, and some people are not going to want to deal with that. And I understand that. I just think this is one of those things where you can watch it and you can immediately go, okay, this is something we need to pay attention to.
Yeah. All right, that sounds great. I May Destroy You, which is airing on HBO, and again, you suggest watching the first 3 episodes together.
Yeah, mini binges, because certainly the first episode, it barely gets into the series at all, which is obviously what she wanted to do. I just think it probably, I don't know if 12 episodes at once is a good idea, because it's intense and it's a lot. I mean, I watched it on screeners over a day and a half, and that felt like a lot.
Yeah.
I think it probably works well in mid-sized gulps rather than a full binge, but also rather than weekly airings.
Okay. All right, there you go. Okay, Dan, hold on.
Sure.
Okay, Dan Feinberg is with us. We talk TV every couple of weeks. You can follow him on The Fine Print. That's Fien, Fien, The Fine Print. If you have any TV questions, we can get you in here. 312-981-7200 is the phone number. 312-981-7200. We got the news coming up.
Chicago's very own WGN.
All over the great city of Chicago, you see them. The next captain of industry, an artist, a doctor who will change the world of medicine as we know it. Chicago's children are all around us. They're making their way, doing the important work of learning, expanding their minds, and taking the human experience farther than we ever dreamed. That's what Teacher in the Library is all about. A safe, nurturing environment at every Chicago public library, where kids get after-school homework help and free computer access. But we need your help. This incredible program is completely funded by generous people like you. Because the next generation is here, and they're in our hands. Teacher in the Library, brought to you by the Chicago Public Library Foundation. Donate today at cplfoundation.org.
Serving the great Midwest from Chicago, this is 720 WGN. And on your smart device, just by saying play WGN Radio on TuneIn.
WGN Chicago.
A Nexstar Media Group station.
I'm Vic Vaughn in the WGN Radio Newsroom. The news is sponsored by